Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode from Critical Devastators. Today we have a game review, and we are talking about Ghost of Yotei, or how my colleague says, Ghost of Antifa. So, what is Ghost of Yotei? This is another samurai game in the video game world. First, I would like to point out that Ghost of Yotei is very similar to Assassin's Creed Shadows, which has a comparable setting and stories, although the periods are different. We have the same plot points where the protagonist loses a family member to a mysterious organization and the revenge story begins. You have to search for 6 different antagonists in various locations and the ending is very questionable. The main character, Atsu, is more of a boyish character than a traditional feminine one. She acts more masculine and displays great strength throughout the game, even in the flashback scenes of her past, where we see a young Atsu and her family enjoying themselves before the tragic event that sets the game into motion. She behaves more like a boy than a girl. The game is more cinematic, allowing you to enjoy the scenes and the story. The focus is less on mechanics and gameplay and more on other activities you can engage in, such as playing a traditional Japanese shamisen, roasting food over a campfire, or practicing at the training grounds to master your sword. The realism of the game overshadows the action-oriented elements, but the lack of interactivity makes the experience feel a bit sluggish. As with its predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima, you also have activities such as clearing enemy or animal camps, visiting hot springs for buff, cooking food, and exploring shrines or other locations for cosmetic rewards. The representation of Japanese culture is very well done, ranging from mythology to different cultural influence, such as the Ainu, an indigenous ethnic group. The ambience and soundtrack also excel, offering a relaxing yet cinematic background. Visually, the game shines. It features highly realistic graphics on several video game modes like Kurosawa mode, which creates a black and white, grainy and winesap look, Mika mode, which enhances the brutality of combat with a closer camera and more blood and mud, and Watanabe mode, which focuses on exploration. If you want to capture a moment or record a specific fight, these modes allow you to create a true masterpiece. In conclusion, Ghost of Yotei feels like the ghost of its predecessors. The game is a more cinematic, the gameplay is simpler and filled with side activities, and the story lacks depth. However, the music and visuals are top tier. Yotei offers a modern take on older samurai games that could not achieve this level of presentation in the past. The game provides the entertainment people expect, but that is all. It does not innovate like its predecessor. It's simply an open world game with a historical setting, much like other samurai titles. That was my review. So, what about you, Black Wolf? What is your review about this game?
Now, initially, I wasn't actually planning on reviewing this game, but my co-host insisted on it, so here we are right now. Now, let's start with the basics, like the mechanics. What actually changed? Well, in hindsight, not much, all things considered. The old system, or combat system, more to say, is based on a stance system, where you don't actually change your weapons, but your fighting style depending on the enemy type. But in Ghost of Antifa, it's replaced with a weapon counter system. Now, in the previous game, you're only limited to your sword and bow and other little items that you carried around. However, in this one, you can actually disarm your enemy, which in the previous game wasn't possible. And at the same time, you can actually use more, let's just say, weapons in that particular way, like an Odachi, which is basically a great sword, dual handing, and spears and so on. Which I actually found pretty cool, was the fact that you can actually switch between bows, pistols, rifles, whatever it is that you currently are carrying, which that was one of the basic things that I found, hey, okay, that's an update. I liked it. But that's where it actually stops with liking the game, because in the end it's still BS. Now, in regards to exploration and traversal, nothing changed much. It's pretty much the same thing that was in Ghost of Tsushima. It's, or at least from what I was able to see, it's a bit bigger than Tsushima with more content, but the content itself is more or less the same as in the previous game. You find shrines, you follow foxes, birds, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's more or less the same thing as in Tsushima, it's only bigger and it's a different setting. But that's about the size of it. Now, from the story structure, it's this is where I'm gonna lose it. Now, in regards to the story, it's a bit complicated. Ghost of Tsushima was more linear-ish. I mean, you had the main storyline, which you progressed. However, your side questing with your fellow companions or followers or whatever the hell you want to call them, depending on how much you finished from their content, it depended on how you got the ending. There are two endings mainly. I'm not gonna spoil the game or anything for those who haven't played it yet, and I'd recommend you play Ghost of Tsushima. It's a great game. But yeah, so you really actually had more of a linear path to go during the... Now, Ghost of Tsushima had a very linear storyline, depending on the branch ups of your companions and how far you finish it, or even if you finish those companion quest lines, you would get a different ending, depending on your choices, of course, but there are only two endings. So far, I'm not going to spoil any of them, because from my point of view, if you haven't played the game, you should. It's a great game and a great story, depending on who actually plays it, if you like this kind of story. Now, in regards to the visuals, some say, or most people say, yeah, Ghost of Yotei alias Antifa looks far better than Ghost of Tsushima, but here's the thing. Back then when Ghost of Tsushima came out, the PS5 was not really that prevalent. I don't even remember when it came out, but I think it was on PS4 and PS4 Pro. Now, I personally first played it on PC, so my graphics was set to maximum, 4K and all the pizzazz, Ultra Plus, whatever. So, in my experience, it looked great. I didn't really see any difference between Ghost of Tsushima on PC and Ghost of Yotei on PS5, but again, depends on what platform you are actually playing the game. So yeah, the visuals are pretty much the same. There's no real change to that. In any case, the game lost around 78% of people buying it. No one wants it. It sold around 3.3 million copies in like what, 42 days. In which case, Ghost of Tsushima, when it came out after 3 days, it sold over 2.4 million copies. And there was some questions asked on the internet. I just filtered around and wanted to find out. When people were asked with whom they actually wanted to play more, Atsu or Jin, the responses were overwhelming, 80% in favor of Jin. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't care playing as a woman, I really don't, but Atsu is just... I don't like her, I don't like Erika Aishi, I don't like these activist types. In my opinion, they're just grifters and retarded, and they should really stop with this, because if Sucker Punch wants to actually make more games in the future, we've all seen what happened to Ubisoft, we all seen what happened to EA being sold off to the Saudis right now, we all seen what happened to every other major studio who worked with these kind of people like Sweet Baby Inc. and so on. They all flopped. The games flopped badly. Just stop with the activism. No one cares, no one gives a damn, and for certain, I'm not gonna waste my money on playing some games just because they are visually impressive. It's ironic, to be honest, because when I was younger, games were fun as hell, but they looked a bit janky in the PS1 and PS2 era. But now the games or the open world itself looks beautiful, but the characters look like shit. They look like they've been hit by a truck in the face. Like seriously, how do you get from great games with janky graphics back to great looking games in the world but ugly ass characters? Why even do something like that? But the most stupid thing that I actually came to realize was the story. Now, while in Ghost of Tsushima you were actually fighting the Mongols to save your home and defending your homeland and helping others help defend the homeland, in this one it's more of a revenge driven story, which again, this copy pasting games has really started to piss me off. If it's not a remake, it's another copy paste. The same stupid story we got in Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was totally bunkers. The comparisons are almost the same. Someone kills her family and she goes on a revenge tour. Good for you. Blah blah. Guess what? Assassin's Creed Shadows, someone kills her family. Boo-hoo, she goes on a revenge tour. The same trope, it's tiresome. We don't want that anymore. Be original. Also, setting the story 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima was retarded. Why even do so? Why even choose a woman? You already had a woman in Ghost of Tsushima, in Jin's companion girl. Why do this all the same? You could have done Ghost of Tsushima 2, where you could have continued your story in, I don't know, some kind of a dual play switching between Jin and his woman companion. Like, come on, be more original, stop doing this, no one cares about girl bosses. And speaking of girl bosses, one of Atsu's main attacks is screaming, like shouting, like what the hell, are we in Skyrim or are we in Ghost of Yotei? Please make it make sense, Sucker Punch. My final verdict for this game is, if you're a fan of the original and you really want to play it, go for it. But other than that, I wouldn't recommend it. Yes, the mechanics have improved here and there, and yes, you are actually able to go around, set campfires, start cooking, and so on and so forth, which in the original game was not possible, but it's not really worth the $70-80 to waste your time on this game. It's just pathetic in my opinion. It's just another trope to destroy a franchise which could have been a great franchise, and it's nothing original. I mean, if you really want to waste your money, go buy Assassin's Creed Shadows. It tells more or less the same story. It's a freaking revenge story no one cares about. And if no one bought Shadows, I don't see why anyone should buy Ghost of Yotei. In my opinion, it was a waste of time, it was a waste of money, and I hope I won't have to play this game ever again. Also, small little trope at the end, this game has no replayability. Unless you want to see all the endings, which are more or less the same. So it doesn't really change that much. The the secret ending of the game is more or less the same. Like, Atsu gets to live with her kid and her new girlfriend because she's a lesbian, because why not? It doesn't really matter. Everything has to be gay these days. It's just stupid and retarded, and I'm done with it. Sorry, guys. Next time, I'm gonna try to be a bit more enthusiastic, but this game actually broke my mind. I couldn't play it because I knew exactly what Sucker Punch or some employees from Sucker Punch did a couple of months back in the aftermath of Charlie Kirk's death. I find it repulsive, and when the main character Atsu or Erika Ishii came out and stated she is proud that she and her wife were Antifa, like, are you freaking stupid? Are you retarded? It's no wonder no one wants to buy this game, and as far as I'm aware of, it's fallen off like 78% in buying price, or at. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the matter. Please let us know in the comments below what you think yourselves, and if you even want to play this game or even played it. In any case, we'll see you on the next video. I believe our next video will be more or less the first episode of Finding Siri, also known as The Witcher Netflix series, also known as The Yennefer Show, featuring Geralt as a guest star. It will be an 8 episode series, so yeah, tune in for that. Can't wait to speak my mind to that one. In any case, have a good one and see you in the next video. Please like, subscribe, and if you didn't like the video, we appreciate it all the same. See you then. Bye bye.